Hello, and welcome back to the Librarian of the Rings. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the trailer that was released for the War of the Rohirrim, as well as some other news and things that are going on in the world of Tolkien. Hello and welcome back. My name is Ben, I'm the Librarian. Today I want to talk a little bit about the trailer that was released for the War of the Rohirrim. Now I'm not going to do a full breakdown, other people have already done that, but I do just want to give some of my thoughts and what I'm thinking about as we lead up to this film, because this film is kind of a really new area for the Lord of the Rings going into anime, and it's going to be pretty exciting for us as it leads up to Christmas here. We have so much going on in the world of Tolkien fandom right now that it's hard to keep track of everything and cover it all, so I'm not going to be able to do that. In fact, as I'm recording this video, we are getting to be just a few days away from the release of Rings of Power, which is going to drop with 3 episodes. And I'm just not going to be able to keep up with all of it because of some other things that are going on in my life right now. I'm not going to be able to get immediate videos out about all of those episodes. So it might be a little bit before I'm able to cover what's going on there, but I will get to it, I promise. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the War of the Rohirrim. Now, up until this trailer came out, we had really seen almost nothing. So this trailer was our first look at it. And I have to say that it is really interesting to see the Lord of the Rings being portrayed in this anime style. Up until now, we just had some stills, and so seeing it actually in animation is really interesting. Kind of a whole new thing. Of course, we've had animated Lord of the Rings before, with the Bakshi Lord of the Rings and the Rankin Bass Hobbit, as well as the Return of the King. So we've had this, but very different stylistically than what we are seeing here. Now, what struck me about the trailer was a couple of things. One, they are trying really hard to tie this into the Peter Jackson trilogy, which makes sense from a marketing standpoint because the Peter Jackson trilogy was so well received and is so fondly remembered by fans. It makes sense to try and draw that in. I didn't really like that very much. I thought that it was kind of hokey to have these scenes from the live action Lord of the Rings at the beginning of this trailer just to try and tie it in. I'm also not sure how much PJ has actually been involved in this. Philippa Boyens has really been involved a lot. There was an interview by Matt on Nerd of the Rings with her, and she's been very involved in this film, but I'm not sure how much PJ has been, and it kind of seems like they tacked him on as an executive producer and are really trying to tie it in just for the name. Not sure I love that. I don't think that Peter Jackson's trilogy should be the only media reference for what the Lord of the Rings is. I have some disagreements with the way that things are portrayed in those films, and I also just want us to have different views of it. And so I didn't love that part at the beginning. It felt forced and kind of hokey to me, but once we got into the animation, it got pretty exciting. You know, one of the things that struck me about this trailer is they really aren't holding much back, and that's one of the things that's been true of what's going on with Rings of Power right now too, is they really aren't holding much back. They're basically letting you see the story in the trailers and the behind the scenes and everything, and that certainly seemed to be the case here. It seemed like we saw almost the entire story within this 2-minute 30-second trailer. We saw a lot of the main points, we understood exactly what the conflict is and pretty much where it's headed. Now, the animation looks great, like I said, very different stylistically than other Lord of the Rings things that we've had, and I think that'll be fun to kind of get a new twist on it, although they're certainly drawing their visual cues and language from the Peter Jackson trilogy and a lot of the concept art from John Howe and Alan Lee, but it's interesting to see it manifested in this different style. We get a lot of Hera, who's going to be the main character here. She is Helm Hammerhand's daughter, and she is the lead, and we get a lot of her in this trailer, so it's good to kind of see where they are taking her character. Her character is unnamed, and there isn't a lot about her in the source text for this, so it will be interesting to see how they develop her. They're definitely trying to tie her in with Éowyn, which makes sense because they're part of the same family and they're both maidens of Rohan. It makes sense to tie those in together and to bring it along. Now, we see her in a lot of action sequences. We also got her childhood, where she seems to already have encountered the antagonist, Wolf, and so there doesn't seem to be a lot of mystery that will unfold in the actual film here, but I think that's okay because we already know the story. If we go to the appendices, we can read it, so there doesn't need to be a ton of mystery here. We can just enjoy the story that they're trying to tell. Now, I hope they tell a great story. It's hard to know for sure if they will from this trailer, but I'd say things look pretty promising. Of course, it's going to be different, being told in a different style, and the style that is very far away from Tolkien's own, but I think it'll be interesting, and it's good for us to get these different versions of Tolkien's stories. Okay, so those are my initial thoughts on this first trailer. I don't know how many more trailers we're going to get before Christmas. As far as other things happening in the world of Tolkien right now, of course, we are rapidly approaching that Rings of Power premiere date, so we're going to be doing lots of content around that, and with that the Rings of Power has just been releasing things fast and furious right now. There have been tons of interviews with different cast members and the showrunners and writers coming out, and I'm not going to go through and break all those down because there's just too much of it, but there is plenty of information out there for you to get if you want it on this. We haven't seen much from Tales of the Shire right now, which is the other big Tolkien project that is happening right now. It's going to be a video game that's going to release towards the end of the year, but we have gotten a few teasers, just a few more things showing us kind of fish that are going to be available in the game and the way that the Shire is there, but not too much in terms of concrete things, no gameplay footage or anything like that right now. So that's going to do it for me this week. I hope that next week I'll be able to get some content out about one or more of those episodes from Rings of Power, but I just don't know exactly how the next week is going to unfold and what I'll be able to get done. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, farewell wherever you fare. May your ears receive you at your journey's end.